What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Care Dangerous Talk. That's right. I'm so excited because tonight I'm going to be talking to actor London Brown from one of my favorite franchises as far as TV shows go, the Power universe. I guess I should say it's a whole universe of shows that 50 Cent has executive produced, and he has a lot of good things going on with that. Very excited to be talking to this guy. We're gonna get into it tonight, and you're gonna learn some fascinating things about him. I guarantee. But you already know what we got to do first. I got to hit you with that intro. Let me pop him in here. Bam, there he is. We got it
Boom.
going. How you doing, London?
No complaints. Alive and well, and excited to talk to you.
Yes, I'm excited to talk to you as well because you've been doing your thing. You've been showing out, brother. You've been really.
I'm just trying to keep working, and I just try to put my best foot forward because, you know, acting is like an incredible temp job. Like you don't know when the next job is coming, so I just try to make sure everything counts. I don't like wasting my time, or my talents because this is a gift. So I'm just glad to be a recipient of it. So I want to treat it well.
Absolutely. And I like to joke with you, and your fans love to joke with you, and fans of the show, they always say your character on Raising Kanan, Marvin, he just can't drive. I mean, this brother, look, I wouldn't let you wash my car, okay? I wouldn't let you take a picture of my car. I wouldn't let you drive my car down the street to go get some chips and come right back from the neighborhood store. You wouldn't touch my keys, Marvin. Is basically what I'm telling you.
Yes, I would agree. Don't we not let Marvin touch your car? But again, the thing that I like to break down to the fans of the show is understanding that Marvin isn't a guy in the McDonald's drive-thru just bumping into cars. He's being shot at. I don't even need no other reasons. Marvin is driving and being shot at to save his family. In one case, it was his nephew.
Uh-oh. You back? I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Let me see. I think your mic is muted. Oh, you're not connected.
Oh, are we still good? Am I still muted?
So we're talking about your driving. I just got to show people some stills of this. I mean, brother just always look frustrated behind the wheel.
Listen,
but I have to say he one lucky dude though. He gets out of the stickiest of situations.
He does. I'm telling you, that's how people don't know that. But Marvin prays too. Marvin said a little prayer before, he go into these little situations. And I think that Marvin just got some serious grace. Even if Marvin don't pray as much, somebody praying for Marvin because, like you say, Marvin done got out some situations. But if you think about it, a lot of times Marvin, or I should say the Thomas family, we really are just responding to disrespect. It ain't like we're going around causing disrespect. You know what I mean? So I just think that as a family unit, the Thomas family is not a bad family. We just like any other black family that grew up in the hood. We just trying to survive. That's all.
Family. You have a strong bond, but it's a little tarnished or a little damaged with you and your brother Lulu. But like you said, you have that family element there, except for you guys are, in the drug business. I want to show people a clip between you and Lulu so they can get a sense of how you guys both go in. Here we go.
You ever think that maybe if you kept better secrets back in the day, you wouldn't have done that whole bid in Elmira?
I got set up.
No, you did it to yourself, nigga. Like you always do. And you doing the same shit here. Only it ain't just you anymore. It's all us. And I ain't dying or going to prison over your stupid shit, nigga.
You all on Rock's dick, nigga. Always stepping and fetching.
No, I handle my business. You should try it sometime.
Your business ain't about shit, nigga. fake ass Quincy Jones up in here. Yeah, I know all about you and Crown Camacho. Heard Juke on the phone talking to Famous. Sounded to me like the only song you gonna be singing is that Puerto Rock record, nigga. Fuck my bitch.
Oh, but you got a song too, Marvin. Only yours goes, that New York Nick nigga, fuck my baby mama. And then turned around to the whole goddamn league.
Beautiful, beautiful. Look, it's your family stay on you. It's like you're the brother who I feel he's not a bad person.
Yeah.
He just kind of makes the wrong mistakes and finds himself in these sticky situations.
That's the thing. I think again, it's just about perspective because the Thomas family is not a perfect family, but they're a real family. Like usually, there's always two brothers that have an or two siblings that have an issue on some sort of level. Some of that is just maturity. Some of that is just sibling rivalry. Because ultimately, we're both wanting the attention or the respect from our sister. Even though I'm the big brother, we all respect Rock. And so I think it's a little bit of that big brother and the little brother feeling like the big brother trying to control things. And but ultimately it's just we all trying to have respect. But at the end of the day, we may not get along or whatever we have going on. We not finna tolerate any outside energy trying to interrupt what we got going. Everybody know that. Everybody got a cousin, somebody, you know.
Right.
Everybody talk about that drunk uncle and that irresponsible cousin in the family. But if somebody on the outside do that, is we gonna
It's all hell.
we're gonna go to war and we're gonna handle you. But that's all it is. It's just a real family. That's all.
What does this character bring out of you? Because you're from LA, but this is 90s Jamaica, Queens, New York. Does it take you to another place when you play Marvin? What do you tap into with this role?
You know, it does. It brings out because characters like this, it was important for me to play them with a lot of layers. You know, so that because throughout, I was explaining this to my followers, but throughout season one, people will find themselves laughing with Marvin, laughing at Marvin. Other scenes, they'll find them frustrated, and then you come towards the end of the for the season, and people will find them like they cheering for Marvin for the big retaliation type of a situation. So all those up and downs that people have emotionally with following Marvin is because Marvin is not just one thing. He's not just the brother who eats or the brother who's crashing cars, but you see some loyalty in there. You see some like Marvin low key has a little bit of everybody. When he's schooling his nephew and being responsible or breaking down, putting his foot down on his nephew, that's a little bit of Rock. When we see
Right.
Marvin dealing with the ladies, that's Lulu. When we see the any kind of hurt or pain, that's a little bit of Jukebox. But when we see Marvin with an AK or going at somebody, that's a little bit unique. So Marvin is low key is connected to all these people, but I think that's what makes Marvin. I think makes him interesting to watch is that people get to see all those different sides. So to your question, playing all those different layers is like playing like 5 different characters meshed into one. So I like having scenes when it's just me and Jukebox or Marvin and Jukebox because most of our is emotional. So that's helping me to go. I gotta go to a place in myself to go there. Or when I'm cracking jokes with Lulu, I'm tapping into my comedic stuff. You know what I mean? So, and like I said, the other stuff with when I'm coming at Unique, that's another side of me that I try to keep suppressed so that I don't be locked up in jail. But
Right.
all those things are a part of me. I just don't necessarily walk around with them on the surface of me so that I can always keep myself under control and stay out of jail.
Now you just made a point for me to bring up there. Rock right here is your sister. She's the I guess the drug boss, as you could say. I don't know if you would say crime boss. I guess drug boss, drug dealer, the head honcho. I want to know, since you have experience now playing in this role, and in your life, we know of gangster tales, but how easy do you think it would actually be for men to follow the direction of a female crime boss? Because that's different. Like that's how this show is different. She's the one running it.
I think that one is a respect thing. I mean, Rock is no pushover. So
Mm-hmm.
first, it's the idea that she we do know that she knows what she's talking about. She runs the show. She's responsible. So we respect her just for always kind of being that mother figure for us anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Keep in mind, Marvin was the guy at one point, but he started using and got off track, and she had to take over. So
Mm-hmm.
there's that thing there. But I think in general, like London speaking, I've always had an appreciation for women in control, women as far as running things, of strong women, because my mother's
Mm-hmm.
strong. So I don't ever feel no type of way about, you know, I had to work. I got to work with women directors. If I was insecure and I had that weird chip on my shoulder, then I wouldn't be able to take direction from a woman director. So I always champion the idea about equal rights and things like that for women all the way. I don't even, first of all, that don't even make any sense. Not to go into this, but the fact that women get paid less than men, but they do the same job, that's stupid to me. That's how I
But you
know.
know what? You didn't have that to say when you put your hands on poor little jukebox. What about that?
Let me go
Okay.
through that. Let me
Look, yeah,
go
I'm
through
gonna
that.
do that, okay? Because she's a female. You weren't standing up for female rights when you tried to hem her up against the wall. Now, what's up with that,
Marvin.
London?
Marvin wasn't. London.
My bad, my bad. Did I
That's
say
different.
London?
You got to separate the two. London is for that. But also the thing about that particular scene was when
Mm-hmm.
we were shooting that scene, I had to go to the writers and producers and ask them how legit is this response to get to the point where it got physical. Because sometimes shows, the writers will try to create drama and they go their reach to just create some stuff so the show has some kind of climactic idea to it. But what I did was I did my research and I spoke to a few of my friends on set and off set, part of the LBGT. And I say, yo, how real is this that this is how this would be and it would play out like this? And I had a woman on set, and lesbian, and she told me, she said, oh, that's a real thing that some women go through even to this day, where their families can't handle it, especially the fathers, and they really turn up in that kind of way. And once she was able to help me ground that those ideas,
Mm-hmm.
then we are able to play it effectively. Like her and I, me and shout out to Haley Kilgore, who plays jukebox. We both was like, that probably was the most difficult scene to shoot, because we both had to go all the way over there, and the only way that it was even going to even read as real was we had to be very present emotionally, tap into that. And that's, to your previous question, that's one of those things that a scene like that does, is it caused me to have to go into another place emotionally and figure that out. So again, Marvin, but keep in mind,
Mm-hmm.
Marvin wasn't proud that he did it. It wasn't like he did that with jukebox and then he went to go have a cigarette. Like Marvin was
Right.
crushed. And not to give too much into season 2, but I think people are going to be really interested in finding out how they deal or address that issue for season 2. And I think that's going to be a great point for people to tune into, or tune in
Absolutely.
for.
Absolutely. Raising Kanan, 50 Cents is a executive producer. And I have to say, it seems that 50 Cent, well, we all know he's competitive, right? But it seems like his competitive nature, it spills over to the cast of the Power universe. And what I mean is that, some of the cast members from BMF and some of the cast members from your show, some of the cast members from Ghost, where is that? they like to go back and forth with each other.
Yeah.
You know, all the time. Here's a post right here from Little Meech's Instagram page where he was basically 50 Cent basically made a post telling him, "Hey, we got to get it together. Even though you had the highest rated show for a second here, you know, Ghost is coming back, or you know." So I like that between you guys. I want to see you actually talk more trash on your page. Like, can I see you next season kind of come at somebody on another show? Because I like that between y'all. It's funny.
My version of talking trash, ideally, about anything is always through the work. Like nothing is more. I mean, obviously, I know it's entertaining for people to actually just see the cattiness, but the real clapback of any situation is through the work. Like nothing. That's the difference between secure guys or secure people and insecure people. Sometimes people they go for a quick light jab, and it's like, okay, you can do that, and that can be effective. But I realize the bigger impact is when you don't necessarily say something right then and there. You say something, it don't have to be verbal though. And so what I try to do, as far as where I stand in conversation, I just try to have very, very solid performances so that when people at the end of the day, whether they like me or not, they can say, you know what, we can see the work that he's doing. We gotta, I may not like him, but I respect him.
Absolutely.
I remember low key Chris Rock got this great interview that he does.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, can you hear me?
I got you now. I got you now.
Wait, hold on.
No, you good.
Just do what? Wait, but you can hear me?
Yeah, you good to go. Yep, I can hear you.
I can't hear you though. Hold on.
You can't. Sorry for the
See.
technical difficulties, you guys. 1, 2, 3, 4. Can you hear me?
I'm
I.
dang.
Oh Lord. I'm sorry, guys. I don't try to get this interview together 3 times. He's having some connection issues on his end. So you know, when you have it like that, it's hard to fix it because I'm not there with him. I'm trying to reach out to him now by phone to see if we can get this thing together. Or you know, this would be an episode I would like to tape so that I won't have to keep coming back and forth on you guys. I truly apologize about that. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. Yeah, it's called healthy cast sparring. That's exactly what it is. And I wanted him on the show because he's in one of those roles where he's really sticking out with his performances. Here he is right here.
Thank you.
Boom.
Sorry for that. I think I had some spam was calling, but basically, I just try to make sure at the end of the day to try to have solid performances. Chris Rock had the story about how he was directing this new project, and when he gets on the lot, and I'm just giving the quick story of it, a guy that bullied him when he was younger was a security guard on his new project, and they just kind of gave each other a quick look and kept it moving. But what Chris Rock was saying was that security guard, even though he was so close to him physically, yet he was so far. And that security guard, the guy who bullied him when he was younger, had to sit back and watch Chris Rock in all of his glory. And as far as like always trying to have something quick to say back, it's just a matter like I think the best laugh back is just being successful. Like for anybody who got anything negative to say about you, all you gotta do, if you somebody fat and you trying to lose weight and you tired of people talking about your weight, or you thin and you want to go, all you gotta do is just beast out and get your body together, get your diet together, get your business off the ground, because everybody sleep on you in the beginning. Everybody, not sure if you can hold it down. But when you reach your version of success, that's gonna be the loudest clap.
That's what I'm talking about. Power up, baby.
Come on, somebody.
let me ask you something, because you've been acting, you've been in theater, you have this show that's very popular right now. Are you at that point where you can let, well, I hate to say this, but this is something this a line my family use. Are you at the point now, London, where you can kind of let your nuts hang a little bit on folks? And I don't know if you know what I mean by that, but you can stun a little bit, or are you not there yet? How do you feel right now?
You mean? Do you mean as far as as far as my credits or my like my money or something?
Well, whatever, baby,
Okay.
whatever you feeling.
You know, I you um yes, in the sense that you can always do that. But let me explain. Let me explain.
Okay.
You can always find somebody to flex on, right? But that would be very self-aggrandizing. It's very, that's very ego-driven, and it's low key. It's an insecure move to go around saying, "Look what I'm doing and look what I got."
You don't
Usually,
think sometimes we deserve it though, especially if you don't have a heart shake at things and you finally make it. You don't want to just be like, you ain't even gotta say nothing. I'm just talking about just drive by slow.
the flex again. The flex it ties to the same point. The flex is the bigger flex is when you don't say nothing. I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example. Anytime when I see my friends and they got something really dope going on,
Mm-hmm.
I always tell my close friends, don't worry about posting nothing. Don't worry about saying nothing. They like, no, man, I need to flex. They need to see I'm out here and I've been working hard out here. I'm like, listen, the code of flex, man,
It's
or
being
this is what I
cool.
do. For
Yeah.
example, this is what I do. When I book a project or I land some sort of gig or whatever it is, I get a car, whatever it is, I never say nothing. The
Mm-hmm.
reason I don't say anything is because, first of all, I know I have haters and detractors and people who are not happy for me. That's the first thing.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody ain't happy for you. When
No, they
you
not.
realize this, you start to move differently,
Mm-hmm.
right? So now, the people who don't like you, or let's go personal. The people who don't like me, from high school, from whatever, from life, they just don't care for me. No problem. Because usually you realize that when you have haters, it's
Mm-hmm.
not personal. These people you are simply a reflection of the lack of focus that they have. So it's not personal to you. Anybody around them that's moving forward, they don't necessarily care for. So now, with the people who don't like me, I never say anything because when I do my project,
Mm-hmm.
and they look up, right? They totally don't care about me at all. And I remember one time, I'll give you a personal story. I remember one time I had an agent tell me, he said, London, you're lucky we even want to represent you. I was like, wow,
Mm.
right? This was my before I did HBO Balls, which was before Raising Kanan. But my point is, I know that one day, one evening, he was sitting on the couch with his wife or whatever, they and laying in bed on a Sunday evening, just and relaxing. But when the trailer of that show came out,
Mm-hmm.
and he said, "What?" and that's the guy we had. When he was able to, because we parted ways after that, of course. But when he looked up and he saw that trailer plan and saw
Yes.
me next to Dwayne Johnson,
Yes.
and not only, and again, I'm not, and this is no disrespect, but I'm not playing, security guard number one. So
Right.
when he looked up there and saw that, and now he look up there and he see Raising Kanan, he look up and see something else. That's way more effective than me saying, nah, 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 nah. I went past you or I did something. No, when the haters get the information from another source that didn't come from you, they gotta respect it. They may not like you, but they will respect you. That's why, not to go super spiritual, but
Mm-hmm.
when you're moving in your gift,
Mm-hmm.
when people understand how to move in their gift, God will place you in a position where the people who don't like you will need you. But you
Wait,
gotta
boy,
be,
you better preach. If you don't say that one more time, go ahead.
it's the truth, man. I'm trying to tell people when you function in your gift and you
Yes.
know where it comes from, and you understand to keep yourself grounded,
Uh-huh.
God will place you in a position with your gift, led by your gift, around people who need you. They can't control it, they ain't got nothing to do with it. They gonna have to mess with you. That's
Yep.
when you know you're moving and you're operating in a real space. It ain't even about you. At this point,
Yeah.
it's about your gift. Your gift is making all kind of ways. So I like to function in that because I realize that that's way more effective. So I'm not telling people, not to flex. I'm just telling you that there is a stronger way to do it. And
Mm-hmm.
so, you know what I mean? And so some people gonna get it, some people not. But words are way that's cool, but your actions, ooh, that's a way better move. The actions can't. They gotta respect that. Okay, that's too
Yes.
much. I'll get too past. No more,
No,
no more.
I like it. I like it. Okay. Okay. That's my kind of stunning though. Okay. I ain't gotta say nothing. You gonna
Okay,
see
look,
it.
real quick. Think about this. It worked the same way on the relationship side.
Mm-hmm.
Guys who do all of that talking, you can always tell. I be telling, I got sisters and whatnot, and I be like, listen, any dude talking about whatever he gonna do to you, he got to start off talking about what he drive, where he work, how much money he make, where he live, all of that. Alpha males do not move like that. They don't have
Mm-hmm.
to, because they know once they get a chance to talk to you,
Mm-hmm.
y'all go have dinner, y'all go have drinks. He know he got some solid things that's gonna work. He know he
Mm-hmm.
got some things about him that you're gonna be interested in. Let alone the intimacy. He ain't finna
Mm-hmm.
tell you about, oh, I'm about to get you like that. I'm finna do you like. He ain't got time for that. He already know what he can do. So it's just a matter of not if he can get you. The
Mm-hmm.
idea is when he's going to get you. All he's trying to do is create a comfortable space for you to feel comfortable with what he knows you want to do with him. So then by the time y'all get to the bed,
You
he's out
gone.
and pause. He about to take that. He about to have a good time. And she'll be like, oh my God, you were so good. Oh, you were so, and in his mind, he can be like, yeah, I know, but I can't tell you that because that's gonna be
Right.
silly. Let me just show you. Again, show is way better than the conversation, but that's neither here nor there.
Now that's true. And some people can show and tell, which is awesome as
There you
well.
go.
Well, but that's a special talent.
Come
You
on, somebody.
come on, somebody. Now, just going back really quick to Power, Raising Kanan. I heard Little Meech say, and I have a picture of Little Meech right here,
Okay.
the star of your show. And he said one day when he was trying to pick on Michael Rainey
Mm-hmm.
Jr., who plays Tyreek, he said this is real gangsters versus actors who play gangsters. I don't have the picture that he used, but
Okay.
I just wanted to say that. And I wanted to ask you, going off of what Little Meech said off of BMF, here's a picture of a Little Meech up top.
Right.
As an actor, and you may say you know people in the streets and you grew up around thugs and whatnot,
Mm-hmm.
but what advantage or what can you bring to the role being just an actor who's been trained over someone who's a gangster who is now acting as a gangster?
Well, the thing is, like to act is a real skill. Like I think a lot of times people think acting is easy because they're seeing people who do it well. And that's
Mm-hmm.
with anything. That's the same. This is the same reason why people buy Jordans because we see Michael Jordan wear Jordans. We like the whole idea is that if I wear Jordans, I might be able to play like that. The
Mm-hmm.
weakest dude in the NBA is still better than the best dude that's not. You know what I mean? Even though he on the bench, he'll get no time. He's still he's still incredible. Even like people got to understand that. So it's like when it comes to this thing called acting,
Mm-hmm.
that's a real skill to not be involved with any of that life, but to have the ability to internalize what that is. That's why we take classes. That's why we go to school to really learn how to be in touch with oneself. I know a lot of gangsters who get parts, and this is no shot to anybody or rappers and different people who land gigs. We
Mm-hmm.
don't know through what politics they were able to land those things, and that's none of my business. All I'm saying is that for somebody to not be any to not like again live that life, but
Mm-hmm.
to play it so convincingly that people have to question whether he's really that or not on the street. that's a credit to the work that people put into this thing called acting. It's a real skill. So personally, I just respect, I respect, any gangster that can come out of that life and really, transfer, and who can do this thing called acting. You know what I mean? That's major just to survive that. And that's why I say, yo, much respect to them. But also, I respect this thing called acting too. So I respect both ideas of it, and however they meet, as long as the story's conveyed and people feel something, then I'm good with that.
Absolutely. And I want to see your character expand and grow and see what you're gonna be doing next season. And hopefully you don't get caught up, because it seems like women always bring the men down in these shows. You almost got caught up by a white girl almost jammed you up, brother, but you made it out.
I
You
made
made
it. That's
it
why
out.
people gotta stay tuned for the season two, and see how that situation plays out. Because all we know, it didn't we didn't finish that story, but just watch season two and see what Marvin's tolerance is for somebody crossing the line. That's all
Oh,
we're
you
gonna say.
said tolerance. The gun's gonna come out, baby. Marvin's gonna be in his bag once again.
Yeah, people got to just see what Marvin, because Marvin is, Marvin be trying to do right. He don't get me wrong, he'll lose Cannon sometimes. He don't think it all the way through. But if you cross a certain line, Marvin do has a point where he can't tolerate the disrespect, and so he got to do what he got to do. But he's learning. He's trying to get it together. That's all I'll say. But he's still being worked on.
Yes. Now, because your show, Raising Kanan, is based in the 90s Jamaica Queens, I said, well, let me do a spin on my show, well, my game show, How Black Are You?
Okay,
Okay. So I got some 90s geared questions to ask you, and you'll get it. So we're just going to go into it.
sure,
I don't have any theme music, so I have to just make some up.
sure. Okay, okay.
All
Well,
right, here it goes. Thanks for playing along. Now, I have to say, I cut the wrong picture to go in here, so we're going to pretend. Okay,
okay.
so the question here is, London, which 90s hairstyle would you prefer? Is it the 360 waves that Nelly is sporting, the classic Caesar that Drake has, or you see Lorenz Tate up there that's also in Ghost Power, what is that? Power
Uh
2.
huh.
He has the two-strand twist, and you see Tiger has a two-strand twist. But let's just pretend that we had Kid and Play there and they had the high top fades. Which 90s hairstyle would you prefer to rock?
I did. I definitely did the kid high top fade. I did that one, but I
Mm-hmm.
also did the old dog, the Minister Society joints. I did the part down the middle. I was rocking them joints for let me see, the early mid 90s. I had those because of that film. So that's me. I can say that I did both of those. Absolutely.
How did you feel about 90s fashion? You think we did a good job back then?
Man, I think the night. That's one thing I do like about this show is my character's clothes in particular. I like Rock's wardrobe,
Mm-hmm.
and
Look at your character right there. Always got the fly coats on. Gotta be warm outside. The cold
it is
outside. Those
you know
little
it,
jackets
yeah.
are
For
heavy.
that, what we had a little bit of both. At one point, when we started filming towards the spring, it got warmer, but that particular
Mm-hmm.
scene was cold in a mug in New York. We were shooting out sometimes 17, 23 degrees.
Oh my
But
goodness.
all the nice leathers, the nice sweaters and whatnot, I really like the wardrobe of the 90s that our costume designers were able to put together for these characters, especially what they got with Marvin. I'm gonna have to, I'm gonna
Ooh,
have
those
to,
them leather jackets, they be pretty nice now. They
yeah. That's why I'm gonna have to borrow a
you
couple.
know who else part one? My homie Lunell. I saw her on the Breakfast Club interview, and she said that somehow she came away with the little pink little coat they gave her when she had a guest role on Power as well.
I'm
So
telling you, because they got some stuff on there. So I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna have to, I'm gonna just say borrow. That's gonna be safe. I ain't trying to
bar.
incriminate myself. I'm gonna
It
borrow
grew
something.
legs and walked away. That's all, folks.
That's all we gonna say. That's all we gonna say.
Okay, next question on How Black Are You 90s edition. Okay, in the 90s, these were 3 popular cars. Maybe I need to stop my banner here so you can get a good look. We have the Taurus, Ford Taurus, okay. We have the Toyota Camry, and we have the Honda Accord. Which car of the 90s would you rather be seen in, London?
Well, I think I would have liked to have been seen in the Accord, the Honda
In the
Accord.
Accord?
But low key, but the Camry looked nice right there because the Camry low key looked like what we call an Acura. But I did drive a Taurus. So
you did.
But look, this is how my life was going. I drove a Ford Taurus in 2004, 5. That's where my life was going.
My mama had a Taurus. They had a lot of room.
Yes, what I'm saying. Because I like the fact even the front seat go all the way over. Like
right.
Back seat and front seat go all the way over. You can like lay down. So I drove a Ford Taurus from like 2001 to like 2004 is when I was in the Taurus. So I got respect for the Taurus. I mean, so I didn't have low key been in all those cars. So I respect them all.
Absolutely. That Honda Accord, though, plenty of jokes always about the single mama who got the son on the football team who riding in the Honda Accord. She got that particular hairstyle with the glue in it.
Yep. I mean, that's why. But see, that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm behaving because everybody got to start somewhere. And like I said, I didn't have those cars. I didn't been in them. I didn't rented them. So I respect the hustle and wherever you are, just keep focused and you level up.
That's right. Level up, my people. Okay, next thing on How Black Are You 90s edition. Which 90s gangster movie? And London, I have this issue all the time when I just think to myself, which one is the best? Goodfellas, The Godfather, Al Pacino, and Scarface.
For me, I'm going with Scarface. Yep.
Scarface, okay.
I'm going with Scarface, because again, that's a rags to riches story. And at the end of the day, man, he kept his word. He was troubled, man, but he was thorough. Mm-hmm. At least he knew that about himself. He didn't try to cross nobody. And he kept a nice, solid guy code or, street code on, if you want to call it that, man, on how he moved. So I got a lot of respect for him. So yeah, that's definitely Scarface for sure. Absolutely.
Scarface. She's so polluted. She can't even have a fucking baby. It's like all she does is snort cocaine all day and
he go right to it. I'm telling you, I liked him. That was one of his best projects, man. I like that movie. Absolutely.
That theme music in Scarface, it scares me. And you may say you don't understand, but I played the Scarface game on PlayStation. It was the first game where I actually had dreams of, you know how they say kids don't need to play video games because they get stuck in their cycle? I was dreaming of being in a bank and having these AK-47s and these guns. And I'm just like, where's this coming from? I'm like, it's from the darn game.
Yeah.
And the sinister music that comes from Scarface. I was being traumatized.
That's what I'm saying. We got to be careful because, especially as kids, our brains don't process like that. All we know is what we know. And that stuff being our subconscious. So absolutely, I get it.
Yes. Now, we got to talk about your other big show that you were on for 5 years, Ballers, with Dwayne Johnson. I almost forget his name, Dwayne Johnson. I was just going to say The Rock. But this was a really good project for you. You were able to work with some cool people, including, I hate to call him Denzel Washington's son, but come on, he knows that's what we're going to call him for just a little while. John David Washington. You played with him on there. Here's a picture with you with The Rock and another castmate. So how was it working on this show? Because this show has a good fan base, and I know it was loved by many. Is loved by many.
You know, the thing about what HBO did for me is when I landed that show, I didn't have an agent.
Mm-hmm.
So that in itself was the first thing that I realized, like, as far as like, I just knew God had figured that out, had worked that out. Because ideally you don't get on a show like HBO, you don't get on a network like
Mm-hmm.
HBO just fooling around. So the fact that it worked out that I was able to be on a show like that, I'm very vocal about. I know that was God who arranged all of that. That's the first thing. But then also the fact that I didn't have the agent after I did the first season, I had a chance to sit down and meet with every agent. That's why I tell actors and the people who come up, they say, "Yo, man, I'm inspired. How do I get into this business or what's going on?" And everyone's idea is to always get an agent, get a manager. And we have to have what's called, and again, not to be super spiritual, but we got to have what's called like childlike faith.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the idea of when children ask their parents or grandparents for things, all they do is ask and believe that's gonna be there. They don't try to figure out if mom how much money mama got, how many hours daddy got to work. They don't care about the weather, they don't care about none of that. All they know is this is what I want. They ask and then believe. And I think as adults, we get contaminated with trying to always work out the logistics, at least for those of us who ask God and talk to God. And so with something like this, with a project like this, you never know how God is going to arrange it and set it up.
Mm-hmm.
And all you need to do is when you ask for something, what
Mm-hmm.
I practice doing is moving in anticipation. Meaning, I'll give you this example. If you knew you were going to get a brand new house, fully furnished, the one you wanted, right? And they said, "Yo, it'll be here next month." You wouldn't wait until the 28th day going into the next month to start packing and moving out of your old place. Somebody said next month on this date, your house is gonna be ready, fully furnished, the 4 garages and everything, the pool, the tennis court, whatever is
Yes.
ready in a month. You will start moving and selling things today.
Mm-hmm.
And I move like that with the things that I want. My whole idea is like I don't know when it's coming, but I knew that I said I want to do this thing called acting, and I'm ready for the
Mm-hmm.
next gig. So what I was doing in between, doing comedy and working these clubs, I was taking classes, and so that by the time ballers came around and I had to go in there for those auditions, I was a well-oiled machine, if you will. So I wasn't like this guy caught off guard, or even the fact that with Dwayne Johnson, it wasn't like when people saw us on screen together, it wasn't like night and day in our performances. Like I was able to, people didn't know me, but they enjoyed watching these two people go at it, the two characters. So I always tell
Mm-hmm.
people just move in anticipation. Like whatever it is you want, you got to do something every day that puts you closer to where you want to be. That takes discipline. And that's what the difference is. A lot of people don't have discipline. And don't get me wrong, I'm still working on it I'm making
Mm-hmm.
it a practice. But discipline is the thing that separates people and how far they go. And along with the focus, but discipline is serious.
I love everything you just said. You so insightful, and I can tell you got a good head on your shoulders. But were you bold enough to let John David Washington hear you do your impersonation of his father, Denzel Washington? Because what some people may not know is that you're a comedian and you've been doing stand up for a good amount of time.
I one night I did a famous comedy club here in Hollywood, out in LA, called the Comedy Store. And
Oh yeah.
I think I invited some people out, and he was one of them. And he came out to the show, so he heard me do it, and he laughed or whatnot, and he was cool with it. Because sometimes people get offended. Sometimes people get they might get
Yeah, they
tight
do.
about the whole situation, but he was super cool. He laughed about
That
it.
ain't how my damn daddy talk. Like,
Exactly. He could have been like that, but he laughed and he was able to appreciate it. And we dapped it up about it. So it was cool, man. It was cool.
I met him once at my old job, ESPN, and he seemed like a nice, humble kid. Like,
Oh,
pretty
you
cool.
talking about the son or you talking about his son, JD?
Yeah, I met him.
Yeah, he was cool. Super
Yeah,
cool dude, super laid back. He's cool, man. He's a good dude. Shout out to John David, man. Absolutely.
yes. How does the fans differ for you from ballers to power? Are you now when you go out, are you getting different reactions and you can kind of pick up on like, whoa, okay, okay.
You know, it's a different vibe because Balls was such a like a commercial type of show. Like
Mm-hmm.
most people who watch HBO don't necessarily watch BET, right?
Mm-hmm.
So excuse me, like Ballers is a lot of athletes, but there are women who watch the show. It's a more international kind of a vibe. It was all
Mm-hmm.
kind of ages of people who watch Ballers. But dig this, while I was shooting Ballers, I was looking at Power. I was like, man, I want to be on that show because I knew the people I grew up with watch, Power. The three shows I
Mm-hmm.
would get was people watch Game of Thrones, Ballers, and Power. So I was like, man, I really would like to be on that show because I know the streets watch Power. So
But you didn't watch, I heard, which is crazy to me. What the hell were you doing?
I didn't watch it, but this is a thing about passionate people.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to it's hard to watch what you want to do. And I don't mean just TV, but I mean watch anything. The difference is though, this is what separates solid people from haters.
Mm-hmm.
Haters, they they can't deal with watching someone else live their best life or live their life. So instead of working harder to
Mm-hmm.
obtain their version of the best them, they become bitter
Mm-hmm.
as they get older because they don't put the work in to get where they're trying to go. Versus us who say, man, you know what? I really want to be on that show, or I really would like to drive a nice car. I really would like to help my family get through college. I'm going to work harder
Mm-hmm.
so that I can generate the energy that I need and the focus and discipline that I need to really get things moving for me. And that's all I did. Well, I saw the show and I was like, you know what? Or I didn't watch the show, but I knew of the show.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't watch it because I wanted to be on it badly. I was like, but I was grateful because I was on my own series.
Mm-hmm.
So when Ballers ended, I also separated from a big agency at the time too, because they were just like, that's how the industry is. Sometimes be like, you know what? Thank you for dealing with us. We appreciate you, but in all the short terms, all they were saying was, you ain't on that show no more, so we're gonna have to part.
No, but
And
Lonnie, be real with me because I need this type of advice at that moment. Okay, we know you faith driven, so am I. But do you get down at all, or do you stay upbeat the whole time? Cause you're like, no, God got something coming for me. I'm good to go. Or do you waver a little bit?
that type of feeling I remember having back in 2000, in like 2003, 2 3.
Mm-hmm.
The hard part for me was I was doing theater in high school. I was touring with that and different things. But in 2003, I remember I was in a low
Mm-hmm.
emotionally, as far as I was like, man, I worked at this photography company called, I think, Life Touch. And I'll be setting up camera work and just baking cookies. And I had, at this time, I had an 89 Chevy Cavalier that I bought with some financial aid money because that was the low key hustle back then. You go to school, take the financial aid money, and not that, let me be clear, not that I did this, but
Hey,
that's what I used
look.
to hear. I used to hear homies used to take their financial aid money and flip it into other stuff. But anyway, so at this point, I didn't even go to the movies
Mm-hmm.
for a long time because I wanted to do this thing called acting. So I didn't do the movies. So as I fast forward, I'm saying that to say this. I've gone through lots of disappointments, but that's why it's important for people to do the thing that they're supposed to do, because when you're following your passion and your gift, that allows you to work and press through the no's, that allows you to work and press through the rejection and all the downfalls. But it got to be something that you care about, because if not, you're going to easily become unfocused. But if you're passionate about it, it drives you beyond rejection. So when I got that no, mind you, I already told you about the story about my agent, who my first agent, who said I'm lucky they even want to work with me. I've heard that before. This ain't my first agent. So by the time I got to this agency and they said that, I was like, because he started off with, "Hey London, how's it going?" I was like, "Yo, everything cool. I'm working clubs because the show was over." So I said, "Yeah, I'm back in stand up, working the club." "Hey London, yeah, yes, that's great. It's great and all. Hey, listen, we think we're too big of an agency for you, and we think probably you do better with a small agency." And I said, "Oh," I said, "that's that call." I said, "Oh, you could have just told me that." I said, "No
Right.
problem, man. Thank you for your service." That was that. My manager called. She said, "London, hey, they want to part ways." She said, "Don't worry about it. We'll be fine." I said, "Cool. I'm not worried about it." Again, that's why I be trying to tell people, you can't put your trust in man. That's the first thing. And I know that's just like easy to say, or people feel it's easy to say, but we have to make it a discipline to really not put our trust in people. People are up and down. People are fickle. They're always vacillating between, if they cool with you 1 minute, you not. Somebody mad at you because you started your podcast and they thought you should have started it with them, and then they mad because your ratings going. People are always in this space. So
Yes.
what I do is I negate all of that. I say I have to trust God, because I've been let down so many times by people. So when I got that no, my manager said, "Don't worry about it." I went off to go shoot. I want to go shoot some, low budgeted. No disrespect to the film, but I went to go shoot some low budget film, and then I went to go shoot this TV series called American Soul. They just hit me and was just like, "Yo, can you come play? You know, come play Boosie Collins or something." So I was like, "Cool, let me go do some character work." I shot those two projects, and then that's when, again, God came through, and I met with an agent, and he was like, "Yo, man, I'm familiar with your work." We talked 10 minutes one time. The next time he said, "Yo, I got a project for you. I'm gonna email it to you. Check it out." He sent Power. But I thought at this time the billboards around was that the series was done. So sometimes when you audition, they'll put a fake title or they'll send a fake script for you to audition to protect the real script. So I was like, "Okay, this must be just an old script. You're just trying to see what I can do." I didn't even know I was auditioning for Raising Kanan until after I shot like the first episode. I was completely lost, because again, I never
Wow.
watched the show, so I didn't know what was going on. They said 90s. I was like, okay, Power was more current, so I said this is the 90s, but 50s involved. I was confused. But
Right.
again, when, not to be verbose to your question, but when I got the rejection of the agent, I was like, man, if they don't know who they got, they're not meant for me. And that's why I like that. I like when Kanye be talking about
I
what
like when you just said that. If they don't know what they got,
they
they
don't
not
know.
meant to me for me. And sometimes you just gotta say that and get yourself back in the check. Like, come on,
You
you
gotta
know.
do. You gotta live in this. You gotta really believe in what you're doing, because again, it's so many. Everybody gonna sleep on you in the beginning. I mean that's what they did with everybody. Anybody that's famous, that's popular, had lots of people who passed them on the auditions. Lots of people who were just like, "Man, I can't invest in your business." A lot of friends who don't buy their own personal friends or family members merchandise and products and stuff like that,
A lot of friends
because
I send links to this show and they never text back if they gonna watch or not. I mean, you ain't gotta watch, but
all
you
of that,
text back if you got
all
it.
of that,
Never
people
mind.
always sleep on you in the beginning.
Right.
That's why I'm always very appreciative to my followers and to my friends and people who gave me a shot when early on, I still consider this to be fairly early
Mhm.
in my career, but the people who saw something and that believed enough in me to say, here, London, here's money for a flight, or let me help you with the audition. Let me set up your little camera work. Let me come to your comedy show, even though you ain't been doing it that long when I first started. People who watch the show on my page, that's why I would post shout outs all the time because I appreciate people who even are even kind enough to even speak to me because
Mhm.
they don't have to. I know people don't have to follow me in all of that sort of thing. So it's about again being able to know where all of this stuff comes from. None of it don't matter anyway. I could have kept the same agent, but all of this is God's doing anyway. I don't want it if it ain't supposed to be for me anyway. Because
Mhm.
sometimes we can force, no pun intended, we can force things in our favor. We'll say, we'll pray to God and God will say, okay, they want it right now. I'm trying to have them to be patient, and let if they wait for me, I set it up in a way that everything falls into place. That's how I know it's from God. Because the way things fall, I ain't gotta force it. I ain't gotta
Mhm.
push for it. I ain't gotta be begging nobody. That's why people be talking about all the nefarious things that people do to get into the industry. When you function, when you connected to God, I ain't gotta compromise what I'm about, cause I'm not finna
Hello.
I'm not finna do that. That ain't my
Yeah.
lane. I'm not finna all that. We hear all the Hollywood stories and different things, or music industry stories we hear.
Mhm.
I'm not functioning on the same plan as everybody else. I'm not on that. So
Mm.
when it comes to like, man, you got to do something weird, or you got to do this to get. Are there people who do that? Yes, they functioning on a different system. I'm not on that. So whether an agent says no, this club said in London we can't perform. That person says we don't want you to audition for this, or you didn't book it. It's okay. My first TV show got canceled. My very first one called The Hustle on Fuse. We
Mhm.
did 6 episodes on the Fuse network, and I was like, dang, I wish I wanted to keep working, but the show
Mhm.
ended. But this is how God worked.
Let me know.
That show ended, right? That was the
Mhm.
first thing. At the time, I was touring doing stand up with Chris Tucker as his feature.
Mm.
And whatever happened, he stopped touring, or I stopped touring. We stopped touring, or, just they changed it up and he took a break or whatever.
Mhm.
So I wasn't on the road with him. We still get friends. Shout out to him. But my TV show had ended. I wasn't touring with him. And I was working in the after school program. Working in the after school program while my small TV show was on air. People was like, "Why don't you quit? What are you doing?" People don't understand. I'm not. Everything is in timing, and God's timing to be more specific. But I'm saying this to say, it was good that that show ended. I
Mhm.
needed to learn what I needed to learn from that show as a prerequisite for what the other show was, which was way bigger, which was
Mhm.
Ballers. All my scenes in season one were across from Dwayne Johnson. What bigger setup could it have been for
Mhm.
somebody for a group of people who don't know me? If you're not gonna be the hero, the
Mhm.
best, the best place to be is the antagonist. People had to watch me by accident. That's how I know things were set up and set up by God, and He arranged it. Because again, I got to trust Him when it comes to this stuff. Because people, you gonna get rejected all day. This business of Hollywood is fickle, and my whole thing with everything is just always trying to. Oh, sorry. My whole thing with everything is always just trying to stay humble, keep
Mhm.
God first, and
Are you
stay
the older
focused.
brother in your family? Cause you just come off like you like you the
I am.
parental. I can tell. I can
Yeah,
tell.
I am the older one. So even with being the oldest like that, you learn to sacrifice, you
Mhm.
learn to be responsible, you learn to kind of lead, and all those kinds of things help with how I navigate and move with people now. You know what I mean? Because I was the oldest of my siblings.
And see, I'm the
So
baby sister, so I could pick up that you were the older sibling the way you were talking.
those things I keep with me. But this is why, as we get older, again, people are so fickle. They're always, you know, vacillating between how they gonna deal with you one day, or if because some people it's two sides. Some people they cool with you when you're not doing so well because they feel like they got somebody to not be doing well with.
Boy, you better go ahead and talk your shit. You better talk your shit. You ain't
I'm
lying,
telling you,
baby.
I done been through this stuff so much. That's why I be trying to share with my followers. Don't get caught up in talking about everything because again, everybody not happy for you in
I've
their
been dealing
heart.
with people, London, and I've been in this business of television too, where it's people who they cool with you when you're in their face, which we hear about that too. But they'll let you call them all day long when you're working on the same set together. But soon as that director say cut, oh, they didn't really give you a number so you can call. That was just when you on set.
Exactly.
Like you better learn something.
So when knowing that people are like that, that's why I'm always real cool. I'm neutral with everybody. I don't kiss up to nobody. I'm not tearing nobody down. That ain't my vibe. All of that is out of insecurity. But I'm functioning on a different plane. So I know how people are. And I know it's not personal a lot of times when people hate. I know people do the quick small talk. And like you said, they cool with you when y'all working together and then they fall off and different things. Some relationships are meant for that. You grow when you grow with that person. That's what that is. You get what you get and you move on. But again, I'm functioning from a different source. So I'm not as easily disappointed when I see people switch like that. I got the people say, no new friends. I get the pros and cons to that, but that's why I keep them grounded. Day one guys with me, where these people don't care if I'm on TV. They don't care. My homies think I'm funnier than whoever is the richest comedian out. My friends think I'm funnier than them. They feel I'm the best actor in the room, the best whatever. Those are real friends who understand that it's not about these ephemeral, tangible ideas, but who we are after we eradicate all the titles, the credits, the numbers, the views, the likes. Who are we in our hearts? That's the stuff that I'm looking at when I meet people is who are you in here? And if you thorough in there, we're gonna get along just well. Get just fine. That's why a lot of times they'll meet me on the street or whatever, and they be like, yo, you just super cool. I'm like, I just feel like we just click. I'm like, that's how healthy individuals supposed to be.
Right,
Anybody
right.
across the world, when you meet somebody cool and y'all just hit it off like that, that is how nature was intended for us to be. Is in that. It's only when we're dealing with people with these unresolved issues that bring out insecurities that allow them to be quite guarded or very defensive, and they attacking and they always talking about you like, yo, I'm just here like you here. I'm not trying to show you what I got. I'm just being me. But you reflect the things about them that some people don't even know that they're dealing with that stuff until you come around. And
Oh my God, you ever been talking to somebody and you draw out with their flaws, not on purpose, and they hate that you can't stuff
they
they
ain't got.
on.
That's what I'm saying. That's why when I interact with haters, I know it's not personal. Sometimes they don't even know me enough to be this mad, but it's what I'm reflecting inside of them.
Right.
But if they were solid enough, they would say, man, why did this situation trigger me? Why was I offended by this? Why was I bothered? And do a self-evaluation and say, you know what? I got something to work on. I shouldn't feel that way. That's why this is what I do to keep myself in check. When my friends do well, I call them. And I look at them and because sometimes it'll be in our proclivity to be like, shout out to Haley Kilgore. She's jumped in on this, catch this for a second. But when I see my friends do well, and I look and I say, woo, they booked another show. They booked another project. Ooh, I would like to be working right now. But when I feel that, because again, sometimes it'll be in our proclivity. What I do is when I feel any of that sickness, hey, yo, what's good? Hey, I heard you just booked this project. Good job. I'm excited for you. I'm going to repost it. Can't wait to see it. And I go buy it. Sometimes I don't even get a chance to watch it because I'm working. But I go buy it. I go order it. I'll pay for some tickets for people to go see it. But that's how I'm moving. Because I understand that if you don't control that sickness, it'll control you. All that jealousy, we have to do things to keep ourselves in check. And that's why I still feed the homeless. That's why if I go to the grocery store, I'll pay for some groceries. Or I'm at a restaurant, I pay for the tab of somebody over there. And I'm not saying people got to move like this, but we have to learn how to, as long as we stay on the ground, when we fall, because we will fall. When we fall, it won't be very far because we're already down there. But it's only when we start to exalt ourselves above a place out of humility where the pride comes in and all that sickness. And I have to always make it a practice to try to rid myself from the vestiges of my past so that I don't keep functioning in that dark place. Because it's like it cripples you. Every time we help somebody else, because there's this thing on social media where they talk about, when you help other people become successful, they say you can either help other people become successful or, in the process, and then you could be working on yours. Whoever made this quote, they don't get it. When you help other people be progressive, unselfishly, it only speeds up the success of yourself because you're sacrificing your time and your energy to help somebody be progressive. And not only does it do that, it allows you to function in a place of becoming more secure. That's why when I talk to guys and I say, yo, I see a guy on the street, I'll be like, yo, man, that's a nice haircut, bro. Or that's a nice fit. Or you did a great performance. I don't feel no type of way. But I know other people feel something with me. But I don't want to carry that. So I always give, whether that's my time, sometimes energy, compliments. Yo, this is how you book an audition. This is where I went through. Or this is, people like the way I dress sometimes. I say, yo, man, you put that and this together. This is how you do that. Because sometimes you ask somebody, be like, yo, where you get they may ask me, say, yo, where you get your glasses from? And then you ask somebody where you get the glasses from, and they say, oh, I was online and I don't know the link no more. You like, man,
that's what I do when I don't want the bitch to know where I got it from. Excuse me, language.
Why we playing like that? And so I don't do that. And I remember another quick story. I remember somebody was moving in this really nice apartment in the area that I wanted to be in. And we had discussed this, but they was moving into the spot. And I felt the sickness. I was like, "Ooh, they moving right where I want to live." We talked. I was like, but to help me not feel that sickness, I said, Linda, why don't you help them move into that place? Whatever they need, go get the rental truck, physically call you and your boys, and help them get into that place. That's the only way you learn how to control that sickness. You got to shut it down and you got to help. A lot of people don't do that. If you ever want to see where somebody's heart is, see how they give. Giving is going to explain everything you need to know about where their heart is, because it's hard to give, especially if it's something that you like. I'm a big shoe guy. If I really want to keep myself in check, I could be a guy on Instagram, and no disrespect to anybody. I could be the guy on Instagram posting a whole garage and a whole room full of nice exclusive sneakers. I'll show you one thing, so you don't think I'm playing. These right here, these are some nice,
clean, baby.
And this how they ain't even worn. But
let a smiley face on the front, Tom.
I mean, I didn't want to flex like that, but this is the whole other thing. That's all right. But my point is that I could be a guy just showing off the stuff, or just be a person who's of consumption of these tangible ideas, and just to say I have a lot of stuff. But the balance is, to whom much is given, much is required. Let's let's give more. Let's share where you got the information from. Let's help other people. Let's give. That's the only way we keep our hearts in check. People think, even when people go to church, or people who don't go to church, they're always like, hey man, you giving to these churches, they stealing your money, stealing your money. Our job is not, whatever that church, whatever they do with that money, ain't got nothing to do with me. I'm just being obedient to what I know helps me to stay together. If they decide, same thing with people on the street. If they ask for some money, they want to go buy some crack, they ain't got nothing to do with me. My job is to be obedient to, if God say, go on and give the person something, or if I feel compelled in my heart, I give. I did what I was supposed to do. I can't be concerned about them. And that's why when it comes to church and giving, more than being focused on where it's going and all of that stuff, because that is a concern too. Don't get me wrong. That's a real concern. But also, part of that whole thing with giving is when you get your money, money is we love money. That's why you get all the rappers, everybody, we chasing the bag. Chasing the bag. It's not about the money, but I do understand that money is a means to freedom. That's what we really want. We want the ability to be able to purchase things freely without the stress. We want the ability to be able to travel, or we want the ability to not work. It's a means to, but it's not happiness. It's not what we should be fulfilled by, because it doesn't fulfill us. So people who don't understand that continue to function on a very surface level, and they're always chasing money. And these same people are always, because they're chasing money, now we're dealing with an insecurity, because they got money, but if they lose money, now they feel weird, they feel crunchy. That's why you see people still walking around flexing jewelry and all kind of fancy things, because of what it represents. They not happy for real. All they got to do is focus on the thing that they're really good at. When people focus on the thing that they're really good at, well, they say, well, okay, because people ask me, say, well, London, what's your gifts? How do you know your gifts? How do you discover that? Brother. All you got to do is focus on the thing that you do very, very well with the least amount of effort. That's the gift. Everybody, the fact that people say, oh man, I just cook, I just love cooking, it's so easy. You need to hone in on that, because that is the breakthrough for your whole life transition. People don't understand. When I started doing stand-up, my life changed. It opened all these other avenues, because I was in line with what I was supposed to do. But a lot of people are not willing to slow down, find out what they're supposed to do. So now they just work. And don't get me wrong, I've had plenty of jobs. I worked at my life really was paid in full. I worked at the cleaners, just like that. That sold drugs and everything. I worked at the cleaners. I did the guy. I flipped the little signs on the corner. I did that. I sold newspapers, and then I started doing. I remember I worked at the several after-school programs, boys and girls. I understand the hustle. I sold candy. I understand all the gigs, but we got to do something every day that puts us closer to where we want to be if we want to make some sort of progress. It's not overnight. It's it's a sacrifice. I wasn't buying a bunch of pair of shoes a couple years ago. I told you I drove the '88 Ford Taurus, Cavalier. I drove a Subaru. I went through a whole string of cars before I got to a car where everything worked. In fact, let me give you this is how up to date I am with this. I get really passionate about this because I be wanting people just to understand.
No, I get it.
About, Raising Kanan is the introduction that allows people to connect. But it's like there's a substratum of layers that people can tap into to understand how to get to a Raising Kanan in their life. Right now, like today, I'm driving a rental car, right? Now, I could go buy a car, and that's not to be funny, but it's not really about that. So I'm driving this rental car. My mother is in my car. The car she has blacked out, fully loaded,
Mm-hmm.
everything in there work. She can drive from here to New York and only worry about gas and maybe an oil check after she passed 3,000 miles.
Mm-hmm.
My point is though, my mother was driving an old car, right? And while I was away filming out back east, I said, "Mom, why don't you drive my car?" And she said, "Oh, thank you." She drove my car. My mother was driving this old car where, in fact, the old car she was driving, I bought for her from an auction from some money, some early money I got from Ballers, because I didn't want my mother on the bus. So I said, "Mom, you go ahead. Here's a little something. It ain't much. I ain't making too much, but this enough to get
Beautiful
you,
though.
because I ain't gonna have my mother on the bus. That ain't happening. And no disrespect to anybody, mom was on the bus. This is just my own personal choice."
Oh yeah.
So I I got my mother a little car.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, she started driving my car when I went back east. So when I came back, I know it's like when you drive an old car and you rent a very nice car, it's
Mm-hmm.
hard to go back to that old rental. I remember I did this for prom when I was younger. I would rent a nice little something, and then I got to get back in my car, and the light don't work, the seatbelt broke. So I was like, I can't put my mom back in her old car.
No.
Mom, why don't you drive? Don't get me wrong, I want to drive my car badly. I like my car.
Mm-hmm.
I put a lot of solid, decent energy to have it nice and blacked out. But mom, why don't you drive the car? More than me looking cool in my car, I don't want you to have the stress of being in that old car that you in.
I can relate to you with this one.
Now this is how we create balance. Like a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people just think, you just living up and this and that. You gotta find ways to keep yourself balanced, or if not, you get caught up in these material things. You start thinking it's about you, and
Mm-hmm.
that's where it becomes very self-aggrandizing, and that's part of the sickness. And I never want to feel that in my heart. I don't want to be that kind of guy where I really start thinking it's about me, because it's easy, because people come up to you, people want to interview you, they want to show you some love, and they want to treat you, they buy you drinks when you out, you start doing all this VIP stuff, and you'll get wrapped up if you think it's about you, and then the minute you get wrapped up, that's when God said, okay, I need to show him a lesson, because he
Oh
think
Lord.
he think he got this on his own. He say
Yeah.
zoom, and he'll snatch that stuff up off you, and you be like, oh man. And you look up and you be like, what am I doing back in, no disrespect to anybody, but you be like, I came from a 3 bedroom. What I'm doing in the studio, I don't want that. That's why, again, if we do things to I gladly do things to keep myself in check, because I don't want God to do it. Because if God check you,
That's a
he'll
check I don't like to have. He
I
gonna
ain't,
check
I ain't
me
gonna do
every
that.
time.
That's what I'm saying. So for me, it's real important to do things like that. And remember, my mother was the one praying for me. She was the one that was dropping me off to my theater practices, and and helping me do my little plays, and raise me to be, whatever positive things people feel about me, I get from my mother. So the
Mm.
least I can do is say, here you go, here's a car, and you be cool. I'm gonna drive a rental until I figure out what I'm gonna do. I don't know. The rentals ain't cheap, but I don't like the. I'm very grateful that I get to even have an option to rent a car, but
Right.
I ain't got no tent on it. And, I'm driving my little my little vehicle. I'm like, okay,
That's a
but
beautiful story, though. Essentially, what I've learned from you is that you're able to play characters like a real gangster role because you're a real person, and you can inject that into the roles that you play. I just want to stop and tell everybody who's joining me because I've started streaming to Twitch. I want to say hello to everybody out on Twitch that's joining us, and thank you guys so much for watching. For all the viewers, make sure you please like this video, leave wonderful comments, and subscribe, and tell a friend about Kera Dangerous Talk if you haven't already. And also, don't be petty. Send me some super chats, some cash donations for this show. They're much needed and much appreciated. Also, you can cash out me at Kera Dangerous $ Kera Dangerous. You'll see my picture or my logo. If you don't, then I wouldn't send it. All right. London, beautiful story. Before we get out of here, I want to mention a movie that you have on BET because I haven't watched it yet, but it's one that I've been keeping on my radar, and I wanted to bring it up especially because it has you in it, and it also has Kyla Pratt in it. You know, damn, where the hell did I go? It's like nothing. We can't get nothing right today. London. Anyway, I want to know about your show. It's called Back to the Good Life. It's on
Yeah.
BET.
I think we disconnected a little bit.
Oh, tell me a little bit about your film, Back to the Good Life on BET, a romantic comedy about two friends going through career struggles.
Yes. Back to the Good Life. So shout out to Lorenz Tate, his brothers, the Tate Brothers Entertainment, that whole group. Basically, what happened was I got a call, and they say, "Yo, man, we've been watching you from balls and different things. We like you, and we would like for you to be our lead guy." I was like, "Okay, cool, man." Then the director called and confirmed that as well, and I was like, "All right, man, let's do it." And so, um, they just sent it over. I read the script. I thought it was a really dope script because I also like. I've been wanting to do a rom-com, a romantic comedy, and that was like a fun, light one to get me going into it. But I also, um, I think, okay, but I also want to tapping into that, like I said, romantic comedy slash. That was like my baby step into getting my Love Jones on, right? Like that's my small version of getting into that. So I had a chance to work with Kai. And shout out to Kyla Pratt. She was really dope. The whole cast, everybody was cool, man. And we knocked that out. And I think we shot that in Atlanta. And from that, I was able to build a really solid relationship with the Tate brothers. And I just appreciate them. Lorenz Tate was really good energy. And he would stop by as a producer and give me, we would have our talks. But the director, everybody was cool, man. I really like that because again, it was showing me in a different space, so I got to do some more of those, man. That was cool.
Well, tell us where we can catch you coming up next, and maybe some things that we don't know you doing besides Power that we can check you out in London.
Yeah, so people can follow and catch me on at Real London Brown, on all the platforms and whatnot. And right now I'm back in doing stand up. So I'm working in LA. I got a couple dates on the road. So I'm sure I'll be posting a few of those dates, and some stuff back east. And we're gonna be jumping right back into this next season pretty soon, from what I know, probably starting back this summer. So right now I'm just working these clubs and auditioning and all that good stuff. But there are a couple of things that people are probably gonna see come up in the near future. So right now, just have everybody. I just want you guys to stay focused, stay tuned to Raising Kanan. The second season drops in the summer, so it's gonna be good, man. It should be good.
Just do a little trash talking for me on Instagram. Just a tiny bit comment somebody on the other show. He's like, no.
Okay, boom. It's not what you know, it's what you can prove. Everybody, I know you've been watching. You've been watching the other shows that been out, and I'm telling you now, they're not. You're not going to. You might fall asleep on those. You're going to enjoy Raising Kanan because it's exciting. It has talented actors, talented soundtrack. It's good. It's good. People are going to enjoy it. Boom.
I love that. Thank you for showing up, Denzel.
No problem. It's not.
I didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on us.
No, I'm just messing around. But no, man, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good, man. It's gonna be work. People was tripping, about it's been a wait, but that's how TV work. They make you wait like that, 6 months or whatever it is. But it's gonna be worth the wait. People gonna enjoy it.
All right, London Brown, you were. I knew you were gonna be good, but you was a really nice surprise. Okay, I enjoyed this. I'm definitely gonna now. I can watch Power with a sense of I know the man behind the character. That's why I like this show, because now I can really get into the show and say I know him a little bit right there.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, absolutely. So, and thank you. I thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I'm glad you was able to follow up, and do that. So, thank you. I'm glad it worked out.
absolutely, no problem at all. And beautiful. You guys, thank you so much for joining me. Got another show tomorrow with Norbs from Norbs at All podcast, co-owner of URL Ultimate Battle League. So you don't want to miss that.
Oh, I gotta catch that because I follow them heavy.
Oh, you do? Okay, okay.
I love you when you talk to them. Let them know. I follow the culture heavy.
Okay, I'm gonna tell Norbs. He may hit you up, so just know that.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. Well, I'll see you later. Wait, where's that outro video? Y'all make sure y'all hit the like too as we go out here. All right, I'll see y'all later. Peace.